welcome to another installment of Plaid Stallion's Toy Ventures. It's October, and I've really wanted to talk about monster toys for a while, so I'm going to begin with one of the more underrated Universal monster lines from the 1980s. I present you with Remco's Monsters at Home line. Let's give a little bit of a backstory. Remco had a good history with the Universal licensed under their parent company, Azrak Hamway International, or AHI. They produced what really is the first monster action figures in the form of the world's greatest Super Monsters line in the early 1970s. Sure, they were cheap rack toys, but they're incredibly charming and highly collectible to this day. I love them. Around 1980, AHI gave the Universal Monsters license another go, but they used their Remco brand to make a more polished, TV-advertised line of toys in the form of these 9-inch monsters. These were similar to Mego action figures. They even used veteran Mego sculptor Ken Scheller to do the head sculpts. The bodies are slightly taller, and they have this wonderful grabbing feature. Scheller wasn't particularly fond of the glow plastic used for the figures, as he felt they hid the details in his work, and you can see by these test pulls that he really did a wonderful job with them. The successful sales of these figures led to an expansion in 1981 and even a second series of 3 3/4 inch sized figures that are called the Mini Monsters. The Mini Monsters were even more successful than their 9-inch counterparts. In 1982, the 9-inch monsters were phased out, but Remco decided to get a little more out of those wonderful head and hand sculpts and created this innovative line of monster puppets. The concept was a puppet monster in a little container environment. 4 characters were introduced. The creature from the Black Lagoon in his sea chest, Dracula in his coffin, of course, the mummy in his sarcophagus, and Frankenstein in his sea chest? Seriously, that's what it says on the card. The Phantom and the Opera and the Wolfman were not included in this set. Maybe Remco just wanted to do 4 characters and expand it later, or perhaps they just couldn't understand what the Wolfman would be doing in a sea chest. I don't know why they were excluded, but it happened. The retail on the Monsters at Home was $3.99, and while the other Remco Monsters did receive television advertising, I doubt these did. It was just kind of one of those things that was quietly snuck out to the marketplace. There's something really charming about the Monsters at Home. It's very innocent and lovable, and it's probably why I collect them. There's sort of a comedy to these guys, and it's kind of sweet. Remco would offer the Monsters at Home until about 1984, when they would pull the plug on the Universal Monster license altogether to focus on stuff like Man-Tech and AWA Wrestling and, of course, a multitude of He-Man knockoffs. To me, the Remco Universal Monster license is like the last great monster toy license for kids. We'd get some bright spots from other manufacturers in the 80s, and, those Burger King figures in the early 90s were awesome. But by the time Sideshow was starting to release stuff to Toys R Us, it was all kind of marketed to adult collectors. Now, I'm an adult collector, and I have oodles of that stuff, but there's always something I really like about when monsters were for kids. I feel the exact same way about Star Trek, by the way, in case you hadn't noticed. So I'll always have love in my heart for a line like the Universal Monsters at Home. What do you think of the Monsters at Home? Are you a fan of Remco? I'd love to hear your recollections if you had them as a kid. You can hit me up here in the comments section or on our growing Facebook group, Pod Stallions. And, of course, you can always hit me up on Twitter or Instagram, where my name is @PlaidStallions. Thank you again for watching. If you're new to this, please consider hitting like and subscribe. I'm going to do monster toys all month. Until next time, take care and have fun.